Okay, what be up, Domino fans? My name is Stick Trick Domino Dude.
And I'm Jack of All Space 98, and welcome to episode 7 of DomiNews, the official podcast of the Domino community. Trademarked.
Right, that makes sense.
So with us today, we have the two best and most active female members of the Domino community, Hevesh5 and DominoERDMANN. So, introduce yourselves, guys, although I just kind of did.
Hi, I'm Hevesh5. You might know me in the Domino community.
Probably.
That works. Okay.
Probably, if you watch the show.
Yeah, and I'm DominoERDMANN, and it's an honor to be on the show today, and I'm looking forward to a great episode.
Thank you two very much for coming.
Alright, so...
Thanks for having us.
So, the focus of this episode is talking about, the fact that these are really the only two female builders in the Domino community, and kind of everyone's views on that.
So let's start out with the obvious question that we're all thinking in our heads. Why do we think that there are so few female domino builders?
I think Dominoes is kind of like a hobby that's kind of like Legos, and people associate boys with like building things and Legos, so that's kind of in that category. But it's just not really like advertised as much as it should be to girls, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely kind of I don't know, it's one of those things that's like, it falls under the whole engineering thing. There's that whole stereotype around like, it's kind of weird. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the kind of the stereotype around that. So I guess it makes sense why there are so few, but
yeah,
I guess
I agree with Lily. The Domino is really not so popular in television or something. A few years ago there was a Domino Day here in Europe, but now you just find Domino when you type in Domino on YouTube, and I also don't understand why there are so few female builders, because when I have some friends with me, they love to build dominoes, but I don't know why they don't make a YouTube channel.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention is the exact percentage of how many builders in the community, at least on YouTube, are female. Now, this number is not exaggerated at all. I'm pretty sure that all in all on YouTube there have only been 4. Just 4.
Yeah.
And this is out of about 500 domino builders. And I'm excluding machine builders from this. So, about 99% of the builders on YouTube are men.
And keep in mind, even if we did include machine builders, I don't think the total would go up at all, because I'm not aware of any anyway.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, same.
That's also kind of an interesting point, just something to think about as well. Okay, so first question, I guess, or the second question, depending on if you count that first one, is were you aware of the fact that you were one of the only female domino builders when you first started out? Like when you first started your YouTube channel, first started building dominoes, and first started, doing it as a hobby, were you aware that it was like an unusual thing for you?
No, definitely not. When I started Dominoes in 2009, I didn't have a YouTube channel, but I thought that it would be more girls than boys. I don't know why, but I thought that it was just a little bit creative and it was more for girls. But I didn't knew that, and I think when I started my YouTube channel and I started subscribing to everyone, I finally realized that there was just one girl, and at that time we didn't even know that Lily, you were a girl, so that was kind of a surprise for me.
So when I first started building, I think I did know that I was one of the few girls that did dominoes, and that's pretty much because I watched pretty much every single domino video from like 2007 to 2008, so I already knew a lot of the builders. I knew that they were guys, and that didn't really matter to me. I just wanted to try dominoes too.
One thing I'd like to touch on what Alexandra said is she thinks that domino building is more of a girl's hobby, and to be honest, I agree completely. They say it's more so sciencey, so over the top, complete mind stuff. What am I saying? But I believe it's more of a creative building type thing.
Definitely.
Like there's no directions. It's once you learn the techniques, it's all up to you to create something beautiful. And
Yeah, it's not like machines. That's one of the major differences between the two. Is machines is really a lot of engineering, a lot of physics stuff. But with dominoes, I mean, obviously there is parts of that. It is a physics art, but at the same time, it's mostly creative. So it kind of does surprise me. Like, not to put stereotypes on girls or anything, but like you typically associate more creative, like art with girls rather than boys. So it is kind of it's weird. It's kind of like when you cross engineering and physics with art, and you'd think there would be like an equal mix, but there just isn't. It's very weird.
I totally agree with that statement.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about that, do we see any real differences between the way that so far the female domino builders and the male domino builders have been building, though? I mean, I can't really sense a pattern because there's so many of us, but...
I don't think there is really. I mean...
I don't either. I really don't, because like everyone would have known that you were a girl if there was an obvious difference in style, right? So
point.
like, it wouldn't have been so surprising, like, oh my gosh, and everyone wouldn't have assumed that you were a guy, which is another point we'll talk about too. Everyone wouldn't have assumed that if it was like an obvious style difference. So it's just, from a stylistic point, there's really not a difference.
I think
it's kind of weird.
everyone has their own different style. So like,
True.
even if guys have like two different distinct styles, it wouldn't matter anyways because everyone builds dominoes differently.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And there's not much of a, there are only like two of you, right? And there's like so many of us. So like, also touching on what you said about everyone has their own different style, but also like there isn't enough of a sample field for females to be able to like say this is the distinctive style of what guys do, and then this is what females do more often, and this is what guys do. So there's not really anything to say because the sample size is so small. If that makes sense.
Well, that's true, but one other thing I'd like to say is that I do see a little bit of a difference that maybe, I don't know, maybe so far with the two girls that have been in the community, they've gone with American style of building. And to quite an extreme amount of creativity. And I'm being honest right now, you two are my favorite domino builders out there.
Thank you.
So, who knows, maybe there is a difference. But we don't know yet.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe girls try to do more like not just domino videos, so like a domino rally or domino screening, but like my underwater video or Lily's Draw My Life. So try to make something different with dominoes. Maybe that's a little different. But
I think that kind of factors in with the creativity as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. I've been trying to branch out from just typical domino videos and do like my Draw My Life, for example, and then question and answers video and just like behind the scenes on how I make everything. And that's something I don't see a lot of on other channels.
Yeah. So we mentioned this we kind of talked about this a little bit before about when we were talking about is there a distinctive difference, and I mentioned that it wouldn't have been so surprising if everyone didn't assume that you were a guy. So I guess the question here is why? Why would everyone assume that if you are an anonymous domino builder that you are automatically a guy? It's just kind of a subconscious decision. Because I can say for a fact that this was me as well. And it's just, why, I guess?
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
yeah, maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a guess, but maybe they saw some Flippy Cat or some other boys who show their face in a video or their back, and you can see that they are boys, and so you associate everyone with boys. But that's kind of guess.
That's true.
That is a little bit true.
guess.
But one other thing I'd like to
It's
touch
weird-
on,
it's
it's
weird
not
though.
just... I'll go, I suppose.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Another
You
thing
were
I'd
saying
like
the
to
exact same thing.
Another thing I'd like to touch on a little bit, it's not just builders who assume. I mean, I can sort of understand that because they get to know a bunch of builders and they see that it's basically all guys, so they logically assume that most builders are guys. But what about the public, who's never seen a domino video, ever? I mean, Lily has thousands of subscribers who've never seen
Hundreds of
anyone
thousands.
else, but
Yeah.
they all just assumed it was a guy. Well, a few figured out that she was a girl because tiny hands for some reason, but that applies to me too. So
It applies to so many people in the community.
true.
Yeah, people just assume that I'm a guy because Dominoes and building is just kind of like a guy stereotypical thing. I don't really know. I don't know.
Well, and this applies to DominoERDMANN over here as well. The fact that at the end of the word is man, which obviously doesn't mean man, but like people obviously would assume, you know, that might be why. Because you're fairly anonymous too. Like, I mean, you've shown your face in your videos before, but it's not like to the extent of like talking to the camera a whole lot, or you know, doing stuff like what we're doing here with, you know, actual face cam and all that. So I mean, you're fairly anonymous. So I think for a lot of people, and I think maybe me included before I knew, you know, we assumed man meant boy. So
I thought that too, not gonna lie.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's because it's a German word for meerkat, but
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, some people don't speak German, so.
Yeah. So every German understands my YouTube channel name, but I can understand that you think that I was a guy because of the man.
Yeah. Right, so I think it's time to take a break from this conversation. It's getting really deep, by the way. And we can move on to the question of the day. This one is from basically my favorite viewer ever, Hevesh5 and
He's, yeah.
The question is...
the greatest comments of all time.
Exactly. Can a domino... Sorry, the English is a little bit off. I'm going to rephrase this. Can domino or machine building be a good career option, or should it just be taken as a hobby?
So this is actually a good question for the two people we have here, because one person in particular has obviously turned their hobby into a career, and you know, we obviously haven't quite yet. So it would be kind of an interesting dynamic. So if you want to explain like what you think, then that'd be great.
I think if you get far enough with Dominoes and you can get yourself out there and get companies to contact you, then it might be possible. Like definitely as a part-time thing, because I get contacted by companies to do like random projects like here and there, like maybe once a month, or like I don't know. It really depends. But
well, that's a lot actually. That's really a lot if
yeah,
you think about it.
Sometimes there's like months breaks, but it really depends. You just have to really enjoy like what you want to do, and be willing to take it to the next level and do it as a job. But
right, and I think there's also kind of an aspect of not just doing it for fun as well. Like you do have to kind of branch out and do some things you wouldn't typically do. Like, you know, if there's a company that contacts you and you really don't know anything about the company, you know, just for the exposure, you know, that might be a first stepping stone. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I personally, if I got contacted by some company that I didn't have any clue existed, and they wanted me to make a full machine for them, I would totally do that just to get out there. So that, yeah, I would say it's definitely possible. Hasn't been done for machines yet, so there's an uncharted territory there.
Technically it has, though.
Well,
Straw
not really.
Museum.
There isn't like...
Steve, in the Straw Museum last year.
Right. Steve is, I'd say Steve is the closest that there is right now, but there really isn't anyone like, you know, Hevesh5 who is doing like movies and commercials and, you know, stuff like that. And there isn't like one guy that you would go to. You know, like if, let's say you wanted a domino or machine, really, commercial for your company. There isn't like one person that you would know to go to get that done for you. You know, there really isn't, even if you did some research, there wouldn't be that one guy you'd find and say, this is the person we hire. So I think we're about there for Dominoes. So that's good.
what about like 2D House?
Oh, good point.
Yeah, maybe.
He's done professional things, but he's not really in the community, so
And
I don't know if he would
of course,
count that.
Joseph Herschler, or G-Weed by now.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they would probably on that front at least, be considered more, like, more professional, or not more professional, but more like career-based, I guess, than Steve at this point.
AKA they build Rube Goldberg machines.
Right. They built Rube Goldberg. So I guess this question is, like, we're trying to get at a specific thing there. Here, we couldn't really figure out the best way to word the question. We're not really asking, like, would you like more female Domino members? Because that would be obviously yes, just for the sake of having more members in and of itself. So the question really is, do you think there are enough? Do you feel like females are underrepresented? Do you think there need to be more?
I definitely think that there should be more because there's only like technically 2 active ones in the Domino community, and compared to like the hundreds and hundreds of male Domino builders, that's a very low percentage. So it would be great to have more females just getting into Dominoes because there's not a lot of them, and it's a fun hobby. Like anyone can enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think, specifically for Hevesh5, do you think that you would have gained more popularity if you had remained anonymous? Or do you think that you wouldn't be as popular as you are now if you like revealed yourself earlier?
I think that showing my face did help my channel a little bit because I've been anonymous for years and years, and when I finally showed my face, people were like, wow, she's a girl, and you know, they started like watching my videos and like actually trying to get to know me, and that's a really cool thing because the viewers get to know the creator finally, so then they want to watch more of that creator.
I think that's a big part of it too. I think this is kind of like a trend in the Domino community that channels that, you know, actually have a personality tend to do a little bit better than those who are anonymous.
Yes, definitely.
Obviously, the exception to the rule was, you know, Hevesh5 before Draw My Life, but for the most part, I'd say, you know, channels that talk to the camera and, you know, channels that, you know, have an audience who knows who they are tend to do a lot better.
That's why vloggers have like so many like super like fans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they actually get to know their viewers.
Yeah. It would make no sense if there was an anonymous vlog channel. So, that would be kind of weird.
Alright, so last question now. This is the important one, and I really hope you can answer this well. What do you want to say to all the girls out there to say, come and build Dominoes with us?
If you're a girl and you want to build Dominoes, totally go for it. There's nothing stopping you. Don't be overwhelmed by the hundreds of other male Domino builders on YouTube, because look at me, like I've gotten so far with Dominoes and nobody knew that I was a girl until like last year. And that just shows you like anyone can do Dominoes, anyone can get views and just do it and have fun. It doesn't really matter if you're a boy or a girl, but just get into it if you're definitely interested.
Yeah, and if you are afraid, maybe because you can edit videos or some other film, there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube that will teach you and show you how to do that, and just try it out, and maybe some other Domino builders can help you.
Yeah, definitely, we will. We will definitely help. Everyone in the community is super nice, so
Yeah, we welcome
if there's anyone
anyone
out
else
there.
that'll come in.
Yes, regardless of gender, really, but specifically to the females out there, go ahead, try it out.
Alright, folks, that's all we have for you today. I really need to thank Lily and Alexandra for coming on to the show. It was really a pleasure to have you on it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no
You
problem.
guys are great at answering questions. Alright, so moving on to finishing words.
And today's finishing words are, when life gives you lemons. Now, I won't tell the story of how my cousin was killed by lemons. By the only man who can really do finishing words, official sleep for Dominoes.
Alright, so that wraps up the episode for today, you guys. I'm Jack of all Spades
I'm
98.
Strict Domino Dude.
I'm Hevesh5.
I'm DominoERDMANN.
And we'll see you guys later. So,
Bye, guys.
bye everyone.
Bye.
See ya.